All right, you are live.
Okay, well, welcome in everybody. So good to see everybody this morning. Sorry we didn't have a meeting last month. I just didn't feel like there was much to discuss, and you know how it is during the spring break and all that stuff. So I was like, let's just skip this month and move on. So, um, as far as updates go, I reached out to the chancellor and provost. The chancellor said he will have some updates for us next month for sure. I'm not sure if he's going to want to come in and deliver those himself or if he'll just, email us some information, but we'll be looking for updates from him. You notice there's a lot of moving around of, renaming things and moving people and all that stuff. So hopefully at some point he'll come in and talk to us about all that. The safety and security training sessions that we had talked about doing. Remember, the chief of police said they wanted to do those as videos directed towards each campus so that each campus had their own information as far as how to, what procedures to take if there was an active shooter on campus. So I reached out to him to see where we were on that. And apparently, during the process of doing this, we have lost our emergency management coordinator. And so that's a big component to creating those videos. They're having them done, like, I think professionally. So, anyway, um, so he said filling that role is critical for us to move forward with operational planning and review. So once that position's filled, they'll be able to finalize, you know, what they refer to as the script and get a quote from a production company for the videos. So the emergency management coordinator position is posted and they're actively working to fill it as soon as possible. And then, of course, because we said something, now I believe Doug and I are on the interview committee. So maybe poor timing on my part, but no, no, we're happy to serve in that. But that's kind of where we are on that. So eventually, hopefully, we'll have some videos to train not just faculty, but also staff for each of the different campuses and how to respond in a worst case scenario. The International Student Experience session was supposed to happen in March. And I would say we, as in the officers, dropped the ball, but really it was me. I know Doug and Jason are always like, just say we, because we all know Misty like totally got sidetracked. I'm telling you, spring break really threw me for a loop this year. I don't know why. So we'll look at possibly offering that type of session in fall of 2026, or whoever is president at that point will, right, Doug? Bit updates. Doug had some updates for us on that, so I'm going to mute myself and let him give us some information.
Okay, well, we had, I guess I kind of think this was a breakthrough. We did have one of our students that had surfaced with the bit team a few times and how to deal with her and that kind of stuff. Well, she left, then she decided she would come back and try to take an 8-week class, the second 8-week class, this semester. And the bit team asked her to have a mental evaluation. We had to run this through the lawyers to make sure we were doing something that was legal and that kind of thing. But it was decided, with the lawyers' help, that we could do this. So she was asked to have a mental health evaluation before she would be allowed to continue at NCTC now. And that was really to kind of ensure her success in college level classes, as well as to make sure that for her safety and the safety of the other students and staff and all of this, we thought it was pertinent to do this. She was given 15 days to have this mental health evaluation completed, and she did not. So she was dropped from, or she was not allowed to return back to NCTC. So I think we've got something in place now, at least a method that we can, if there is this kind of a situation in the future, we have something that we can do. So I was very pleased about that. And it's been kind of light with the bit team. We haven't had that much this semester. I think typically fall semester is the new students that come in, and we typically have some more concerns in the fall than we do in the spring. So I was very happy, and that's all I got.
Okay. So instructional council updates. Instructional council approved some curriculum changes to the horticulture program. They voted to advance preparations to create a Bachelor of Education program and an educational prep program. So, and I know I listened to the board meeting the other day. The board has voted to yes, let's set up a Bachelor of Education program as well as an educational prep program. That's the one that does certifications for teachers. So we're moving forward on that. Instructional Council also voted to advance preparations to create an ADN to BSN program. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, the education program is going to be offered on the Gainesville campus, and nursing is going to be offered online. I could have those backwards, but I think that's the way it went. Yes, Jeremy, question.
I had a quick question about the bachelor's thing. Are they upping the educational requirements of faculty that are teaching in those departments?
They discussed that for some programs. You have to have, I think it was for the BSN program, there were certain certifications that people who were teaching those classes would have to have. And we do have a couple of faculty who already have those qualifications who would be able to teach in that program. It's probably going to require bringing in additional faculty for the programs. I believe the education program, they said essentially everything there was same requirements for teaching at the community college. So I don't think that I don't think you have to have a PhD to teach the education program. So I think the education program was like fully, we have people at the level that they need to teach it. But of course, they'll probably have to hire more faculty as they expand. So, but the BSN, yes, there were definitely some requirements, and they would need to probably hire additional people with those requirements. But we do have a couple on staff already. So,
okay, thank
does that
you.
answer your question?
Mhm.
Okay. Instructional Council also voted to advance the preparation to create a program to allow paramedics to transition to the RN program. So there's a lot of overlap in the coursework there. So it's kind of a special category because some of the stuff they have like really well that the nurses don't even have to, the RNs don't have to know as much about. And then some of the stuff, they have to supplement a good bit because it's not something that the paramedic program is really covering at this point. So, but they did vote to advance that. And the Rad Tech program presented some information about some course length changes. So really that was it for the instructional council updates. Any questions on anything there? Okay. Executive committee updates, no executive committee meetings this month. And I believe that this committee has been renamed the district leadership team because our executive council meeting got canceled, and then I got an invitation to the district leadership team, and I was like, oh, well, I didn't know that was happening, but I believe that they have changed the name on that. I know Dr. Wallace sent out an email talking about some of the changes to who's on which teams and stuff. So I believe that was part of that change that was ongoing. Current and ongoing issues that we're trying to finish up this semester. Constitutional updates have been sent to Dr. Wallace. He's taking them to the, to the legal team, and we'll see what comes out of that. So that's where that stands. The Student Handbook Review Committee has a meeting scheduled with Dr. King on April 24th. One of the officers will attend with them, but they have come up with some good revisions to make, so they'll be meeting with Dr. King about that. And then finally, the adjunct pay raise proposal. We did finally get the data gathered, get that all adjusted, and I sent that to y'all yesterday evening. Thoughts on that? We tried a different tack this time. Last time we just went more at looking at the colleges around us and how much they got paid, and that didn't seem to float very well. So we went with if our adjuncts were receiving the same type of pay increases as full-time faculty, here's where they would be. So I made sure, we tracked for a good number of years so that they could see. They did a really big raise, and that's what always comes up is we did a really big raise, once. And I'm like, yes, you did. And then you did no raises, and now we're behind again. So, so that's why that table in there was changed to look like that, so we can kind of track, yes, they had received really good raises, and that was great for a little while, but now we're behind the curve as far as where full-time faculty, the raises full-time faculty are receiving. Jeremy, question?
Yeah, I had a few comments about it. I reviewed it last night and again this morning. I don't know if this has been caught already, but this is like a really minor thing. There's a typo in that first image where for fall of 2020, it says fall of 2000. So that needs to be slightly adjusted before it gets sent out. I also noticed in the intro, there's references to inflation, and it's just kind of generally in the background, but there's no references to inflation in the rest of it. I think generally everyone knows we've gone through a lot of inflation, particularly in the years that adjuncts were not receiving those pay bumps. I wasn't sure if we needed to, remind people how much the inflation has gone up since then, but that's there. You had the comments by the division chairs in there, which I really appreciated. It was good seeing those. Was the assumption that the comments were put on there under assumption of anonymity, or would it be okay to disclose which
So
division chairs disclose that?
those comments were actually still from last year's pay raise proposal. So I just put them in there. I didn't put names with them last year, but I thought it was still relevant information to include. I debated sending out an email asking division chairs for additional comments. And we could still do that. It's just going to make the process take a little bit longer to get it to Dr. Wallace. So what do y'all think? Should we ask for additional comments? I didn't want to add names on there because I don't want anybody being really feeling like, like maybe they're being put out there. I know the nursing comment, it's fairly obvious who that is, but I mean, it's a very valid, that's a very valid comment. So
maybe just ask them if they're open to it.
Okay.
Let them make that call.
Okay. Do you think it's more powerful if it has the names on it, or?
I think
I
it,
think the chairs have also changed since last year, so.
Yes.
I like that you added the part about adjuncts feeling undervalued because you're tugging a little bit more at the emotional aspect of it and just the moral aspect of it. So I appreciate that.
Yes. I was astounded when I was looking at how many of our hours are taught by adjuncts or overloads by full-time faculty. So for the 2024-2025 academic year, we had almost 4,300 hours being taught either by adjuncts or full-time faculty. That's a lot. That's a lot. Anyway.
I had some comments on the numbers of the first image.
Okay.
If Jeremy was done, I didn't want to steal anything from. Were you done,
You done, Jeremy?
I did have one more thing, and it was about numbers, but it's like it's kind of, again, a bit of a disconnect between how we're framing it in the beginning and the recommendations. I do love that you have the spread there where it's like, if we do this, this is how much it costs, giving them options. And you focused in on those options and the recommendations. The opening was about keeping pace with full-time rather than keeping pace with the state median. And I wasn't sure if you wanted to include a little piece. It's like, in addition, we would recommend in the future keeping pace with full-time faculty raises, so at 3%, 3%, that sort of thing, so that we're not back here in 5 years doing the same thing.
Yes, and that is part of the reason why I put in that they need to put a plan in place to get us get the adjunct pay closer to the state median, just because I don't want us to be back here, in a few years going, and once again, people are feeling undervalued and underappreciated, and please put some money behind this because we need to be able to keep our really good adjuncts. So
Right, that's all I had.
okay, will you do me a huge favor and email me those suggestions so that I make sure I have them correct and can get those in there? Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, Tom, what you got? Lay some recommendations on me.
The proportionate on that first image, the proportionate is what the price per course hour would have been if we would have followed. Okay.
Yes.
So I took those numbers and I took the adjunct numbers and I did just basically from 18 to 25 of the compound annual growth rate was 2.05% for just the adjunct. For the proportionate, it was 2.48%. So we basically, there's a 21% less, not 21 points, but 21% less compound annual growth rate in salary. I don't know if that helps, if it's just a number. Maybe I don't know how much they're into compound annual growth rate numbers or something like, but if you want to throw some finance numbers at them, you can say, here's the adjunct compound annual growth rate from 18 to 25 was 2.05. If they would have followed faculty full-time, they would have been 2.48%.
Okay. Yes. I
don't know if it helps or not.
Yeah, I try not to overwhelm them with too much math because I know, as much as it breaks my heart, sometimes math makes people turn their ears off. So. But send me that.
So it's finance, it's not math. This is more finance. Yes. So they should be involved. Yes. They should be very involved with finance.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Will you email that to me as well?
Sure.
Let's see if we can get that in there.
Misty, I have a question. Does full-time faculty get an additional stipend in addition to the adjunct pay rate when they teach a section?
Not as an overload. Summer courses, yes, but Overload pay is at the adjunct rate.
Okay, what is it for the summer courses then?
Oh my goodness. I do not remember. I think it's something about 1/45th of something of your salary.
Okay.
Your salary,
So-
right?
Okay. So
Yes.
they do get that.
Yes. So they get, yeah. Teaching in the summer, 45% of salary, 4.5% of salary, Brittany says. I was like, I know there's something something odd in there, but yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's different in the summer. Other questions or comments? If you don't want to, say anything here, you're always welcome to email me. Especially those things where it's kind of disconnected, like Jeremy was saying on some of them. I love having that flow in there. Tom, your idea is great. So I think just showing, every bit of data that we can throw at them, I think is good. But again, I don't want to overwhelm them too much with the math because there's one finance person in there and they're typically, sitting there going, yes, I see what you're saying. Yes, this makes sense. And everybody else is like, well, but like, not everybody else. I will say I was very encouraged. Dr. Wallace did actually ask us to do this proposal again. So I did feel like he values this and he understands that this is a very important topic. So I appreciated that. Any other thoughts, comments, concerns about the adjunct pay proposal? Okay, I didn't really have it on the agenda, but nominations were supposed to happen this past week, and we forgot to open those up. So that we'll be doing nominations for officers next week. So think about running for one of those. I've asked Dr. Wallace if he wants us to do a nomination for the at-large position that Kristen is currently filling. I haven't heard back yet because I just sent that this morning. So we'll see if he wants a nomination for that or if he already has somebody in mind. Kristen could be appointed there 6 years in a row if if I can't convince her to, run for an office position. Any other additional items that we need to consider? Anything y'all are hearing?
Hey, Missy, this is Christine, the LVN instructor over here in Corinth. And I did have one of the nursing faculty bring something up to me this morning, and she asked me to kind of talk to you guys about it. She's the RN transition instructor over in Graham, and she has a adjunct that works with her that obviously, like a lot of our adjuncts, they work other jobs. Most of them do. And so evidently her adjunct has had some problems with the short window of opportunity to put in like a midterm grade or a final grade. Like even we teach some 8-week courses, and I literally just got an email yesterday saying, hey, you need to put in your grades for your 8-week course, and you have until, what was it, the 13th of April, which is Monday, and they just put it out yesterday. And a lot of she said that a lot of her adjunct just doesn't put the grades in because they don't check the email every day. They don't, they're at another job. And so that has caused an issue. And they were just asking if there's a way we can at least have a full week to put in grades. I don't know
Do
if
you
this happens
know
with
what
other people or if this is something that some of y'all have, me being full-time, I've never really had a problem with it, but I can totally see it as an adjunct,
Right. Do you know how long it says they have on, we have the document that's sent out at the beginning of the semester every year that shows when those windows are going to be. And I don't really pay that much attention to the 8-week ones because I don't teach 8-week courses.
You know what? I do have it. It's actually, you're right. It is sitting here. I know what you're talking about. I wonder if they just don't know about it. I'll see if I can send that to her. Where do you find that sheet? Is that?
It is in the faculty group, and I know that
Oh, okay.
Alex has been putting it on the faculty group calendar so that it will show up. But what I'm seeing is that the midterm grades for second 8 weeks open April the 9th and close on the 13th. So that's what, 5 days?
5 days. Is there a reason why they don't open them? Leave it open early, or is there a problem, like just a, I don't know.
I do not know. That would be
Okay.
a question for Kate. Assume that they're, trying to put it far enough in the semester that they're getting good information.
Okay.
But that's my assumption. I really don't have the knowledge of that, so. But I can check on that if you'd like.
I'll let her know about, if it's on the faculty group, let me just let her know about that schedule.
Okay.
And if I think now that you're saying that, I think I remember that is out ahead of time, so maybe they can at least mark their calendar and. Okay.
Yes. I know, like sharing the office with Donna as a division chair, I know that every division meeting she's talking about those upcoming dates so that it's not a surprise to anybody.
Okay.
So maybe if that can be covered in division meetings, that would
Okay.
be a good place to address that. And then Robert, I was listening to the board meeting the other day. They did have some discussion about the Flower Mound MSU campus. And essentially what they said is, as long as MSU is still there, we're still going to keep using the building. So that is currently the plan. There, the board
Misty,
did do a little discussion of, the falling numbers there and how that might affect things. Yes, Anne.
sorry. I just got an email from our division chair that says we will be exiting the building in spring of 27 at the end of that semester.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
So I don't know where she got that from, but I'm assuming somebody higher up must have told her, of course. So but
Yes.
Exiting which building?
the MSU building.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Carrie, did you have something?
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We just wanted to hear your lovely voice today. So
I'm at the gym working out and listening.
very good. Very good. Way to multitask. Okay. Any other issues? Robert, I think that everybody would like a little more clarity on the Flower Mound MSU campus information, but I don't think that the board or administration has really reached a point where they feel comfortable making a decision. So I feel like that's why, we're getting random tidbits here and there. We're staying. No, we're going. Okay, we're going to be out this time. Nope, we're going to stay. So, Dr. King did assure us, and I know we talked about it in the past, that anything that's going to happen with the MSU campus is going to take time. So, it's not going to be an overnight change. We will have advance warning of anything that's going to happen. So, as I feel confident that as soon as he knows something, he will pass it on to us. I just don't think any firm decisions have been made at this point, but maybe they have because Ann got an email. So Jeremy, yes.
We had a little discussion in our division meeting in government psychology econ, and Elizabeth and I were a little bit confused about the order of elections because I know that we had discussed this um, in a prior meeting maybe several months ago, but exactly which faculty members were going to be up because we're supposed to stagger the elections now, roughly half and half each year for those 2 years. So
Hmm.
is there a list anywhere of faculty members that
Yes.
are up this time? Okay.
Yes, I feel like I sent it out like at the very beginning of the semester when we were kind of trying to
Oh,
figure out how to stagger them, but I can send that out again if you'd like. We just kind of took and, the people who have been on Faculty Senate the longest, sorry, Amy and Cheryl, um, which I really hate that we have to rotate people off, but um, those people will be rotating off. If there are 2 people in your division, we tried to keep one person on, rotate the one off who's been on longer. And then for the divisions that had just one person, we tried to rotate off half of the people. And it really worked out pretty well, corresponding to people who had been on for 2 years already. So the rest of the people, essentially, because we're operating under the board's ratification, your terms are 2 years. So Jeremy, this was your first year, right? And Elizabeth
no,
has
it's
been on,
technically
no,
my second year.
it's your
Yeah.
second year. Who else is
I
on with
think we were
you?
both second, or maybe, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. Because I feel like Elizabeth was maybe on for a year longer than you. I don't know. I'll
Maybe.
send it
I'm
out.
not sure. And I
I'll
wasn't
send
sure
out the
since we
list.
were basically adopting a new constitution if it was like a hard reset for everything. So it was kind of, it's
Yeah,
just an unusual circumstance to kind of navigate
it
around.
really is. And the
Yeah.
rules are a little nebulous at this point. I'm trying to honor everything and making sure we honor everything in Senate Bill 37, but stick as close to our previous constitution as possible until we get the new constitution in place. So,
Yeah, I feel like Misty, really, this was a kind of an off year for everything. And since we weren't working under a constitution, you should be allowed to serve another year.
as I said, I'm trying to keep everything as much in line with our previous constitution, which says, Misty, get the heck out of here.
Well, but we didn't have a constitution. So I think that that's kind of a moot point.
Oh, it is open to interpretation. I would say that.
Okay. Well, I know what my nomination's going to be.
Oh, but then, how will Jason ever make it to president if you can only do 6 years as appointee? So, oh,
This
goodness.
doesn't count for him either. We're not working under a constitution. We're just all, you know.
Is this all willy-nilly right now?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Okay, other thoughts, comments, concerns? So we will get the information out to the divisions as far as, who they, if they need to elect or not elect this year. If you have 2 senators in your division, they'll definitely have to elect at least one. Should be only one. We don't have any divisions where I have 2 people rotating off unless somebody, says, I'm done. I can't do this anymore, which would just be a travesty because it's so much fun, right?
Misty, real quick, if we did have somebody do that, would that fall under our special election rules to fill in for a remaining year, or would we treat that as the start of a 2-year term?
That is a really good question for your next president, who I am nominating to be Doug. I don't know. We haven't had that issue yet. So, but I know in the past we have had, people who served 1 year, but it was 1-year terms in the past. And then they were like, I don't want to do this another year. So I don't know. I
Okay.
guess we will cross that bridge when we get there. Any other questions? Besides, Jeremy, you're the Constitution expert. What do you think? That's what I want to know.
I mean, if we are treating it as if these are places, and so rather than treating it just on the individual, it would probably make sense that if you have two people, you elect, somebody for the 2-year term, and then if somebody decides to step down, step away, the position becomes vacant, basically. We treat that as a special election for the remaining year.
Okay.
But
That
again,
makes sense.
it's like what the list looks like, I don't know right now off the top of my head.
Yes. Okay, I will send out to y'all the list of, who's served 2 terms already, and who we have set to rotate off and who we have set to stay. So anything else y'all need? Okay, well, we have almost made it through the semester. One more faculty senate meeting and we'll be done with this semester. We don't typically meet during the summer unless there is something has gone awry and we need to call a special meeting. So I will see y'all in May, and then we don't typically have meetings during the summer. We'll have our general meeting, in August when we return. So thank you all for coming.